So, all right, what's up, guys? How y'all doing? We're gonna get started here. I'm Cal. This is my buddy
Ian.
Ian, and we're starting something new. We are those podcast guys, and so a lot of you guys, because I haven't decided if I'm creating a new channel or if I'm going to post it on the regular channel that I've already got or anything. So a lot of you kaiju fans are probably looking at this right now like, this isn't what he normally talks about. And no, it's not. But this is something that me and Ian have talked about wanting to do for a long time. Well, we're talking like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
It was like we've been talking about wanting to do, 2020.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
like about midway through 2020. So 4.5 years pretty much. And, me and Ian are both lifelong comic book fans and everything. And so we're here to talk about Superman. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know that if you don't want to listen to us, we're going to do like some intro stuff, tell you a little bit about us, and, maybe talk about a collectible here and there or whatever. If you don't care about that and you just want to listen to us talk about Superman and the new trailer, what's going to be happening with James Gunn's film and all of that kind of stuff, you can just go to this timestamp right here and you can just skip the whole intro and all that. So, yeah, all right, here we are.
Yeah. So I mean, did you want to talk about how long we've known each other?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Run with it.
Yeah. So, my name's Ian. I used to be a manager at a major book, video game, comic book, and movie retailer. Hastings. Sadly, they're no longer around. Shed a tear.
I'm not Catholic. But that's how much I miss that place.
And Cal was one of the regulars. And because I was there like 60 hours a week, we struck up conversation. Lifelong comic book fan. And, comic fans like seek other comic fans. And they find things to bond over. They find things to argue over.
Especially in areas like we live.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a decent amount of comic book fans here, but there's not a lot of, I think they're more or less fans like in the regard of like collecting figures and like watching the movies, and maybe grew up watching like Batman the animated series or any like Spider-Man, X-Men, any of those animated series and everything, but they're not exactly comic book readers.
Yeah, they're more character fans, but not exactly comic fans.
Yeah. How we met, I actually remember the first time you and me spoke was whenever Flashpoint was happening in the comics, and I was looking for Flashpoint #1 because I had missed it. Like, I had Flashpoint #2, and I had like a few of the tie-ins already, but I couldn't find Flashpoint #1, and I looked like in the back issues, couldn't find them, and then a mutual friend of ours that we had like pretty much said, "Go find Ian. He's the comic book guy. Like he'll let you know if we have one or not." And so that I was like you Ian, and you're like, yeah. So I'm like, okay. And so I said I was looking for it and all that, and you're like, if it's not out here, like we don't have any. Like, it's not like we just keep spare ones in the back or anything. So I was like, okay, well, works for me. And then we actually went a while without having any interaction until that birthday party.
Yes.
That I was invited to. And I was like, I don't know any of these people, And so, just went there, and then me and him's been friends ever since.
Yeah. That was my 32nd birthday party.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That was an amazing night.
It was.
And from there, I remember, I want to say we exchanged numbers around that time, and the first phone call we ever had
was like 5 hours.
5 hours.
Like, we were trying to get a feel out for each other and all that kind of stuff. We were just talking about, just anything or whatever, and, talked about comics a little bit and everything, which then eventually, that led into talking about, like,
paranormal,
supernatural stuff, like cryptids and all that kind of junk. And then next thing you know, it's like 5 hours have gone by, and I was like, I think I'm gonna like this dude. He's pretty cool.
And we've definitely had some adventures.
We've had some adventures, all right. some ups and downs. We've one thing that you're gonna notice about us is that I'm wearing a DC shirt. He is wearing a Marvel shirt because we're on opposite sides here. I'm. We actually had a conversation about this yesterday. Yep. I'm pro DC, have been my entire life. It was nothing really. Just as a kid, I gravitated toward. This was before we even really knew what the difference between Marvel and DC was. Whenever we were little kids, it's just like they're superheroes.
Yeah, it's a comic book.
Yeah, whatever. We don't care. And every now and then, if Batman was in the same issue as Superman, your little mind was blown. Oh my God, Batman and Superman in the same issue. Yeah. This is amazing. And so that's just I just gravitated to DC characters.
Yeah.
And even with the animated shows that was happening, there's a 7-year age difference between us. And so whenever I would be watching X-Men the animated series or what's so funny?
I was just waiting for you to say okay. Because I am kind of the oldest one in our friend group, they pick on me all the time. They ask me, what was it like, going to school with Moses and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah,
And so whenever Kal and the guys...
His first car was a replica of the Fred Flintstone model,
No, I taught Fred how to
okay, gotcha.
So, as the oldest guy in the friend group, the other guys always, give me crap about it. And so while they're talking about, Power Rangers and stuff like that, they would always ask me, "Oh, Ian, what did you think of Power Rangers?" I'd be like, I was too busy being a man.
Yeah. So. And I'm still a Power Rangers fan, by the way. So, but anywho, so there's a little bit of an age difference. So there's some things that he experienced a little bit before me. But I also grew up in a way to where I watched a lot of reruns, but then I was also able to, my dad traveled a lot. So, the Kaiju fans know this because I've told this story a bunch of times. My dad traveled a lot. Oftentimes the family would go with him whenever he would go out of state and all that kind of stuff. And we would essentially just stay in the hotel. And hotel TV to me, whenever I was a kid, was you couldn't get no better than that.
Oh, cable.
Because it's because at home we had NBC, a very, 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 very fuzzy Fox, and ABC.
You didn't have CBS? Oh man, well
that's all we had.
I remember in '91 whenever we got cable. I don't know, it might have been '90, but mind blowing. Oh my God, I have 30. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. It was 59 channels.
Yeah, that was an unheard of number for us back then. And so we would go, and that's whenever we would watch a lot of I watched many an episode of X-Men the animated series, Batman the animated series, Fantastic Four had an animated series, and I watched a couple of episodes of that. But like I said, we didn't differentiate Marvel or DC. It's just Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends. I remember sitting there thinking man, how cool would it be if Superman showed up to help Spider-Man and Iceman and all of them and all that kind of stuff. I just wouldn't, you don't think no, that's not going to happen.
Well, that and also whenever you're a kid and, naturally, back in the day, action figures weren't just for collectors. Kids actually took them out of the box and played with them.
Yeah. Not like me.
and you'd have a Green Lantern.
Some of them I take out of the
box. You'd have a Green Lantern and RoboCop and a G.I. Joe and a Transformer and Flash or whoever.
Oh yeah, I mean you'd pretty much have your own interplanetary Avengers League,
Oh yeah,
or whatever. Like Optimus Prime is assisting Superman and Spider-Man with stopping
he would.
Slash, the the evil Ninja Turtle, like, and all that kind of stuff. Like, we would just do that. And so it was years later before I finally found out, like, oh, there's a difference. Like there's Marvel and there's DC. But as it just so happened, I was still more like, whenever I started really digging into it, I'm like, well, most of the guys that I really like is under one banner. And Marvel, they had some guys that I liked, but the vast majority of them I liked was on DC's side.
Yeah.
And Superman is my guy. That's the whole point and purpose of this episode. Superman is... I'm comfortable in saying he's my favorite fictional character of all time. Like, across any type of anything. Any company, movies, whatever. Like, if you're talking about a fictional character, like, Superman is above every single one of them. And the only character that comes close to him, I would say would be He-Man. But so yeah, we're here basically to talk about Superman. We're not going to give you guys like the untold history, or like, the history you never knew, or whatever, anything starting with Action Comics #1. We're pretty much here to talk about the new James Gunn trailer. As you guys can see from my shirt that I'm wearing, I'm pretty optimistic. I'm pretty hopeful for it. I'm not the biggest James Gunn fan.
Same.
And so, like, I know, like, you guys in the comments are probably not going to like.
How dare you talk about the DC Messiah?
Yeah, because I mean, you would swear people think that he's just here to take DC to the next level. And at the time of this recording, he has come out with the animated show, I think it's on like episode 3 or something like that at this point, of Creature Commandos, which I hear has been getting very, very good reviews. I'm not subscribed to Max, so I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. I don't know how much he was in control of the season of The Penguin, which is a spinoff of Pattinson's Batman. They did a 1 season. I don't know if it's going to be an ongoing thing with Colin Farrell as the Penguin, but I've heard it has gotten really, really good reviews and everything. But I don't know how much James Gunn had on that.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, because for the most part, as far as I can tell, he's pretty much leaving Matt Reeves alone.
Right.
With his Batman universe and all of that. So, yeah, out the gate, this is either going to cause some people to stick around, or it's going to cause some people to leave. We are Snyder fans. Just going to throw that out there. Like, with that said, we don't think Snyder is like this, his own DC Messiah. Like, we don't think that, like, he, like, anything. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, and there's toxic fans in anything that's in existence. And I'm not really saying that Snyder's guys are toxic, but there are some people that just go overboard whenever it comes to him. I mean, it's like anything that he does is this just unsung masterpiece. And if you didn't like it, then you just, you don't know what, your opinion doesn't matter, and this and that and everything. Like,
oh well, no. It's nothing to do with Snyder. That's on you because you didn't get it.
No, like, no, I hate that. Like, but I will say personally with Snyder that I love Man of Steel. It's easily one of my favorite comic book films of all time, not just Superman films.
Agreed.
I love his version of Watchmen. Like, I would like Watchmen, like, not even just in my personal opinion. I think it is like one of the best comic book movies.
Absolutely.
And I'm a big, he knows. Yeah. Like, I'm a big Watchmen guy. Like, I've got the original graphic novel. I have hardcover special editions of each individual issue. I have hardcover collections of whenever they did before Watchmen. I've got like the film companion. I've got like the guide to the Watchmen universe. I've got Doomsday Clock. I've got the Rorschach miniseries. Like, I mean,
I don't have that yet.
Like, I loved Watchmen, and so whenever I went and watched his version of it, like, even with the changes that were made, I was like, that was fantastic. Like,
yeah,
I loved it.
Like, I was pleasantly surprised. I remember, being in the theater to see it. First of all, I love the inclusion of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. But I loved the changes that were made. Like his ending, I actually prefer over Alan Moore's.
Same
ending.
here. So yeah, like we are Snyder fans, but with all of that said, and this is a little part of contention between you and I, is that I'm not the biggest fan of Dawn of Justice. I'm just not. Like,
I get it. It's okay.
Like there are things about it. The argument that I've made whenever it comes to Dawn of Justice, no telling how many times, is that there are things about it that I adore. That I'm like, they could not have done that any better. And then there are other things about it that I'm like, what the heck were you thinking? Like, but that's not to say, I mean, like, I don't know if you guys can pinpoint of a lot of the stuff that I have here. Like, Ian, move your head to the side just a hair. I've got like the McFarlane Superman versus Doomsday there. Way up here up top, I've got the armored Batfleck. I've got the Nightmare Batfleck. I've got Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. Pretty much the only thing that I'm missing is just the regular Batfleck figure.
Also, you got the big backdrop.
Yes, I've got the that was at Hastings whenever they were doing just getting ready for that movie, and boy, I was hyped for that movie.
Oh yeah.
And then I went and saw it in theaters and walked out just like like I just and like the next thing that happens with a lot of times whenever you give any type of criticism to Dawn of Justice is that the Snyder Bros come at you, because that's pretty much they deem that as pretty much Snyder's, that's his movie. Like, if you love it, hey, you're part of the team. If you hate it, you didn't understand it, kind of thing.
Okay, first off, Cal and I very much do not agree on everything. We joke that we probably disagree more than we agree, and that's across the board: movies, food, music, whatever.
We used to say just movies and food, but then the more we talk to each other, it's like, no, you're wrong about a lot of stuff.
But my issues, the issues I had with Dawn of Justice, I don't believe were because of Snyder. And you and I talked about the studio interference and Doomsday. And yeah.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
So there's a reason I have that Doomsday sitting next to that Doomsday.
Yeah.
Okay? Like...
One looks like a wax statue set out in the sun too long.
Yeah, and the other one looks like a creature that could kill Superman.
Yeah.
And like I have a kryptonite infused Doomsday there. This was Doomsday whenever they did this line. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. During the New 52, whenever Superman doomed, they did a story arc and everything. If you bought, the figures in an entire line, you could build the New 52 version of Doomsday.
Similar to the Marvel Legends figures.
And very similar to a lot of things that McFarlane does and all of that. And so I was like, I'm not doing that. I just wanted the Doomsday infused version of Superman. And then I just got on eBay and paid an ungodly price for an already assembled New 52.
I won't tell Emily.
Well, I've had that since Superman Doomed was printed. Okay. So that was before Emily's my wife. But, so she's not down with this. Like she's like, I get that you might like a few movies, but she comes home and she's like, I haven't seen that before, and like luckily And she knows, you know, it's like,
Oh, yeah, they always know.
luckily, you know, she's like, I haven't seen that before. And I'm like, maybe I've been had that. Like I've had that, you know, for like 7 or 8 years. And she'd be like, okay. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to hide the receipt, you know, as I just bought it.
Well, the method is whenever you get it in, hopefully they're not home.
Yeah.
And then
If they are, you leave it in the truck.
or you, like, whenever you get it to your sanctum sanctorum, you put it under a couple things, and then if they're in,
yeah.
and, you know,
Oh yeah. I saw this. Got this the other day. Show that off for any big Superman fans that may want to hunt that down. It is a Hot Wheels of the car from Action Comics #1, and so yeah, I seen that. I didn't even go in looking for that.
Right.
I was just looking at toys because I'm a 37-year-old man, and I go any store that I go into, if it has a toy department, I'm like, I'm going in there.
We're men. That's what we do.
Like, I'm a grown man with grown man money, and I buy toys with it. So, and yeah, so I looked at all the action figures, and I'm not a big Hot Wheels guy, but every now and then I'm like, let's just see what they got down here. And it was hanging up on the rack, like front and center. I was like, holy mackerel! I was like, yeah, give me that.
Well, I remember when you got that, you sent me a pic, and I was like, dude, like, that is a deep cut for a Superman fan.
Like, that's not your run of the mill Superman fan
collectible
right there.
No.
But yeah. So Dawn of Justice came and went. I'm very much, you know, the phrase that I use a lot is I tell people I have a love-hate relationship with Dawn of Justice, unlike any other film in existence. Because there is no movie that makes me feel the way that one does. To where, like, I'm literally there are things about it that I just absolutely love. I loved in the beginning where we see the battle in Metropolis through Bruce's perspective.
Yeah.
I love, like, whenever we first, like, it was kind of one of those moments to where it's like for the first time ever, we're seeing how other people view Batman in a more, like, legit modern fashion.
Yeah.
Whenever all those girls are captured or whatever, you know, and
they're cowering,
and the
fear.
Cops go to let them out, and like they slam the gate shut, and they're like, "It's still here."
Yeah.
You know, it's like they didn't say he's, they said it's. Like, you know, and like seeing him up in the corner and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was so like, like it was a Batman moment, and it's like, we're Team Batfleck, by the way. We're just gonna throw that out there.
Yes.
Like, you know, if you're gonna leave. Like, that's all I've got to say to you, because yeah, Ben Affleck, I was okay with it day one. I remember one of our friends texting me at the time, like, he had just, like, Ben Affleck just got cast as Batman, and, you know, followed up with a bunch of cussing and all that. Like, he was mad about it, and I'm like, I sent back, I'm like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean,
and he's like, are you serious? And I'm like, well, I already, like, yeah, another hot take. Here we go. We're fans of the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. Like, love the Daredevil movie, the theatrical cut and the director's cut. Yes. Got the novelization to the film. Like, yeah, we're out there. But so yeah, like, some other things that I loved about that movie, the warehouse fight, is just like, I remember whenever me and Emily first started dating, and she was finding out how big of a comic book fan I am and all that kind of stuff. I used that scene as like I'm about to gauge you. You know, like, I'm going to show you this scene, and if you think it's awesome, then okay, you just earned some points.
There's hope.
If you don't like this scene, then, like, I don't know what to tell you. And so I pulled up the warehouse fight scene at the end of Dawn of Justice, and she was like, you know, she had not really messed with Batman. She's not a superhero type person or anything, and so for all intents and purposes, that was really her introduction to Batman. Mm-hmm. And she was kind of like, he's pretty bad. And I'm like, yeah. Like, it's like the most Batman scene that we've ever gotten. Yeah. Like that's a live action, level of the Arkham series of games.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
absolutely. And you and I have talked before. I feel that Batfleck's interpretation of Batman was probably the most comic accurate.
oh yeah,
Not just in how he acted, but dude got like seriously jacked for
yeah.
that film.
Like he dedicated himself for that.
Yeah.
And one funny thing that was like, they were talking about, there was an interview with Affleck and Cavill, and they were both there just sitting next to each other, and the interviewer had asked them something about about the reception for the movie, that it was panned by critics as pretty much split the fan base down the middle and everything. Like, what's your thoughts on that? And Henry starts talking, and like the audio kind of tunes out Henry, and you hear, "Hello, darkness, my old friend." Like the camera is slowly zooming in on Ben Affleck, and he's just. He's like, here we go again, like, because that's the exact reception that he pretty much got with Daredevil. But you're never gonna see this, but we loved both interpretations. Ben loved it.
Loved it.
So yeah, loved that. The fight itself between Batman and Superman, I feel like Frank Miller was kind in comparison.
Yeah.
I was just not. I felt the fight was too short. I felt the fight was way too one-sided in favor of Batman. One part that I really did like is whenever the kryptonite starts to wear off.
Yeah.
And Batman is like waylaying, and like Superman just. And then that last one, ting. And even Batman's like,
he starts backing up.
He's like, hey, wait a minute, But yeah. A lot of times with BVS, there's one thing in particular that is a point of contention, and we're going to get to that now. The Martha scene. Like, not a fan. And I've told many people that I'm not a fan of that. And I've had many a debate online since 2016 about that scene. I've had so many Snyder bros come at me and try to explain to me what it means and this and that. Well, you just didn't understand it. I understand it. I completely understand it. I still think it's freaking stupid. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I get it. It was in that moment that he kind of realizes this is not just some alien invader. Like, he was raised here.
Yeah.
He had a mom. She had a name. She had my mom's name. Like, he's realizing all of that for the first time. And I've told you that there was one little adjustment that they could have made that would have had me accept that scene better. If you just had once, I would have wanted two, at least two. But if you would have just had one other instance in the film where it showed that if somebody said Martha, it triggered Bruce.
Yeah.
He had some kind of reaction to it. Like, because other than that moment, the only other time really that we see it, even in like the Ultimate Edition, is in the beginning. And whenever you see Thomas Wayne, like, say Martha,
right,
and everything. And then it's never mentioned again. Like, it's never shown again or anything until that moment. And he's saying you have to save Martha. And then all of a sudden it gets thrown in our face like, oh, this is supposed to be a very triggering moment for him, even though they've done no setup to that. I don't know. I just didn't buy the setup of that.
So something funny about that scene with me, read comics since I was 5 years old. Batman was almost always my DC favorite. I was certainly familiar with Superman, though I do usually lean more Marvel. But I had never put it together that Superman and Batman's moms had the same name. Yeah.
Like, I remember you telling me that, and like the first time you told me, I was just like, I mean, on one hand, it's like I can understand it, because it's not like, you're doing family trees for both of them,
Right.
But at the same time, it's like I knew it. I was aware of it, and so I was just like, huh. Like, well, yeah, okay. He didn't know. Well, it makes sense that he didn't know. It's
No,
not really something that's not like super talked about. Like, oh, their moms share the same name.
Well, no,
you
no,
know,
no.
like,
Well, like, I mean, obviously, I knew, Thomas and Martha Wayne, Jonathan and Martha Kent. Like, I knew their names.
yeah,
It just didn't click.
yeah,
Oh, they have this. Their moms have the same name.
yeah. But yeah. So, and then I did not care for the whole them pretty much shoehorn, which this wasn't exactly because of Snyder. Like, there was a lot of like shoehorning in that happened
Yeah.
above his head.
Yeah.
Could you imagine
that
Snyder doing the death of Superman, like a full-blown movie dedicated just to that?
That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
I think had there been much less studio interference and that the death had not been shoehorned into BVS but been allowed to be its own film, I think it would have silenced a lot of the Snyder critics, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wasn't crazy about them shoehorning in the death of Superman and everything. The score, like with Hans Zimmer and all of that kind of stuff, made it a very emotional like time for him. Like, I mean, just with the music that they had, it was very much a slower, like the music that was whenever he was fighting Zod in Man of Steel, they just did a softer version of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, total mood change. You know what I mean? And
I'm sorry, I'm smiling because I don't remember if we went to the theater, like a group of us together to see BVS, but I do remember.
I just went with my brother.
Okay. But I do remember one of our friends in common.
Yeah, he cried.
He cried.
he cried. We're not gonna mention any names. Like, he may be on this show one day, and so just to have him on here and all of that kind of stuff, and we might disclose that he was the sissy that cried. We're not. That's a joke. Please don't cancel me already on episode 1. But yeah. So then probably the most infamous thing that Snyder is known for. Everything with the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Everything concerning the Snyder Cut. Arguably some of the biggest well-known like drama to go down during like the making of a movie. Maybe not the biggest, but one of. Like,
I would agree.
Tragically, terribly, his daughter passed.
Mm.
And so he had to step away. It's never really fully been disclosed on if Warner Brothers really just used this as an excuse to, okay, we're cutting you loose,
right,
and bringing somebody else in or whatever, which they brought in Joss Whedon. And I'm not saying that just because of his take on Justice League. I've been a Joss Whedon hater since the 90s. I do not like him. I've never liked him. I've never really saw the appeal in him.
The only thing I've ever really liked that he did, he had a great run on Astonishing X-Men and the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my problems with that movie too.
Same.
But overall, like that, it is one of his better films that he's done. So yeah, they bring in Joss Whedon immediately. I was like, because I'm like, you're going from Snyder's tone to the tone that Joss Whedon is known for in, like, just think of anything Buffy the Vampire Slayer related. And just, if you like Buffy, more power to you. You're wrong, but more power to you.
I actually disagree.
Well, we disagree on something. But I liked Angel. I will say that. I did like Angel. But disagree again. But so yeah, he comes in, releases his version. Everyone calls it the Justice League. And I went to theaters and watched it. And I remember enjoying it for what it was. Like, just watching it and being like, okay, like, if this is what we're stuck with, like, if we're not going to get anything else, like, it is what it is, kind of thing. There were certain scenes that I could not stand. I hated seeing smiling Batman. I hated seeing joking Batman.
Yeah. Like, that's gonna leave a mark.
Yeah, like something's definitely bleeding. Like, come on, like, get out of here with that nonsense. And so yeah, movie comes and goes and everything, and then we go through the whole topsy-turvy thing of release the Snyder Cut. And then, the studio saying it doesn't exist, it's unwatchable, stop asking for it. When then Snyder comes out and he's like, oh no, I've got it. And, I could just imagine, like, whatever he, like, would post something saying, like, oh, I just got to work on some special effects, like some VFX stuff and everything like that, and it's good to go. I like hit post. 5 seconds later, his phone was probably from studios, like, dude, stop, like, but and just kept on and kept on and kept on. And I was one of the big guys. Not gonna lie, I was making posts with the hashtag release the Snyder Cut, because Snyder was, he was smart with it. He would, like, I'm just gonna release, like, story elements about it. I'm going to release, like, concept art about it. And so people that were already big Snyder fans that were wanting it was going to jump onto this. People that just despised Justice League was like, oh, so this is the version we could have got, but got this crap instead.
Yeah.
And everything. And so, I remember the announcement whenever they said that they were finally going to release it, and they were going to give him an additional, I think it was $80 million.
Yeah.
To pretty much finish the film and all of that. But it was also basically one of them deals of, like, I think it was unofficially said without actually being stated. They're like, this is your last hoorah.
Yeah.
Like, finish your movie.
And that's it.
And then that's it, kind of thing. And I was perfectly fine with that. Because there was never a time, while I would have loved to see some kind of continuation, either in comic book form or novel form or even in animated form or something like that, I was perfectly fine with just being like, okay, this is going to be it. Like, this is going to be the last DC Snyder thing that we're going to get.
Yeah.
And so, movie came out, streamed on Max. I watched it the day it came out. Not long after that, they came out with a black and white version, and I watched that. Very little complaints about the Snyder Cut. I really, really enjoyed it. Whenever you really compare it to Justice League, that's whenever, like, there's a lot of things of, like the whole thing, like with the Russian family and everything, and with the whole thing about, like, after Superman shows up and him and Flash go in opposite directions to save people and all that, like, you see, Flash pushes a truck with the Russian family out of the way, and then you have Superman, just carrying an entire building away that's, I guess, full of people. Like, they never really specified if it was full of people or anything. He's just carrying that away, and it's just like, okay, well, that's it. And it's like, you see Snyder's version, in which they lose.
Yeah.
And Flash literally has to save everyone. In what I consider to be one of the best comic book scenes that we've ever witnessed. Like, with the music and everything going with it. It's a very Flash thing. Like, you can see that in the comic book. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't know. It's like, I compare those two parts. And I'm like, the studio thought this version was better than that? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
Well, from the studio's perspective, I can see how maybe they thought Joss Whedon might have been a safer name.
Yeah. I don't think he would be now.
Oh, agreed. I couldn't be happier about his current situation.
Hate it for the people that went through what he did.
Oh,
but you know, like as far as I was going, like all that stuff started coming out, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is so terrible," and I'm just like, "Why are y'all shocked?"
Yeah.
You know, because like I said, day one hater right here. Like I never cared for that clown, and it was very much on my part. I was very much like, I've been telling y'all there was something up with that fool for no telling how long. But everyone would be, oh, Buffy, Buffy, you know, this and that and everything. I'm like, I don't care. Like, you can love the work that the man did and still acknowledge that he's a piece of crap. Like,
Well, I mean, I've considered most of what Whedon has done to be like just above like CW drama.
yeah. yeah, okay. So, anywho, back on topic.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, Snyder cut comes and goes. I have the steel book to it. Obviously it's like a 4+ hour thing. I don't go out of my way to watch it very often. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, uh, I have it steelbook form and all of that, and then whenever Snyder decided to I think it was equal parts. He decided to step away, and Warner Brothers was kind of like, we're also just gonna let you go and everything. And yeah, it was one of them deals to where it's like, he set things up to where I don't know if he was just gonna finish what he had started. And I would have loved to have seen where it would have went. Like the final part, seeing like that scene in the nightmare sequence
Yes.
of Batman and Joker working together.
Yes.
We hear Batman drop the F-bomb, and it's like, it's not something that that happens very often. Deathstroke is there, like rocking a killer mohawk, and Mira's there and all that. Obviously, this is way before all the mess.
This is before her digestive and bedroom issues.
Yeah.
So
yeah. We'll leave it at that. And it's like, man, it's like I really wanted to see the continuation of that. And like Emily came in like right during the part whenever like Batman tells Joker, he's like, make no mistake, I'm gonna kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a movie quote. I'm not doing that to anybody. But she came in during that part, and after it was over, you hear that other rendition of I can't remember who the artist is, that does a cover of Hallelujah, which is one of my personal favorite songs. Not that particular cover of it, just a song in general. Like I love that song. And Emily came and sat down. She knew I'd been waiting for that movie for a long time, and I mean, I just sat there, just watching the credits roll. I wasn't reading anything, Like I mean, I just sat there, like
that just happened.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, like it was one of them moments to where it's like we went from it doesn't exist to I just finished it. And I remember I had that moment again whenever because originally there was no talk of releasing it physically.
Right.
They were just going to have it on Max, but then it ended up so the demand for it was high enough to where okay, we'll do it. We'll do like 4K and Blu-ray and all that kind of stuff. And so then that's whenever it was like, I think I posted on Facebook or something, like a picture of it, and I said like we went from it doesn't exist to me physically holding it in my hand, kind of thing. And so yeah, and then Snyder leaves, and the rest of the DCEU, as it was called at the time, comes and goes, and some hits, some misses, and everything. But I think we all kind of knew inevitably that there was going to be a reboot, just because it was too much.
There was a lot of drama.
There was. And there was a lot of people that was just like, we're done with this. We're over this. And the movies wasn't doing well. I mean, you could tell like how far the DCEU fell whenever you have Aquaman, that came out in 2018, becomes the highest grossing DC Comics film of all time. it outgrossed the Dark Knight, the Dark Knight Rises. Like, if it was based on a DC Comics character, Aquaman was number one. To fast forward to 2023, 24, whenever it was that the sequel came out, and it made 400 million, if that.
Yeah.
Like, to go from like
probably barely covered its budget.
Yeah, like to go from like the highest grossing DC Comics film of all time to its sequel, just a very mediocre box office run. Like, that lets you know, like, people were done. They were over it and everything. And so, you know, James Gunn, he does, you know, Suicide Squad, which I liked. I liked the movie for Suicide Squad. It's not like, you know, it's not one of those movies where I'm gonna write home about and be like, oh my god, you've got to go watch this movie. Like, it was okay. Peacemaker, same thing. Like, I liked season one, thought it was funny, but it's like, I wasn't in a super big like, oh, the new episode of Peacemaker comes out tonight, you know, like I would skip sometimes a week or two at a time. Like, I'll watch 2 or 3 episodes at a time or whatever. Like, I was perfectly fine with that. And then whenever it gets announced that James Gunn's going to be over DC, well, you know, and then all that, we're not going to jump into all the Black Adam nonsense with Dwayne Johnson and everything, the modern day Hulk Hogan that he is. But wrestling fans know what I'm talking about. But yeah, like, to tease bringing Henry Cavill back, like, and to find out a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, that it seemed like Dwayne Johnson was like he was trying to kind of take over the DCU, and kind of be like the head honcho and all that kind of stuff. And
he's a prima donna.
Yeah, very much so. So, you know, all that happened, but then they're like, nope, not happening. James Gunn's in charge, and we're rebooting. And at first, you know, part of me was kind of like, yeah, let's just lay it to rest and start over, kind of thing, you know. But then the other part of me is like, dang, it's dead. Like, they still had a few movies that needed to come out, like the Aquaman sequel. I think the Shazam sequel still needed to come out, which I have not seen. I had not much of a desire to watch it, and I still don't. Like, I have nothing against Zachary Levi as Shazam, or Captain Marvel, as we used to call him. I thought it was a decent enough casting. Like, I liked the first Shazam movie. Okay. Again, like, you tell me to come up with like my top 25 comic book movies of all time, I'm not even going to consider Shazam. Like, it's just, you know, no. I probably enjoyed Black Adam more than I did Shazam. So yeah, there was that. And then the Aquaman movie. I want to say there was another one.
Flash.
Oh.
That's all. The Ezra Miller saga is an episode on its own.
Yeah, like,
was never on.
What board. A wasted freaking opportunity the Flash was, man. Because that was like,
I was never on board with Ezra Miller as Barry.
This is the only good thing about about the Flash movie, was Michael Keaton's Batman coming back. That's it. Like, yeah, I was never on board with Ezra Miller being the Flash. Like, you know, whatever. All that aside. Yeah. Well, you know, again, that's another episode in and of itself. But, so yeah. James Gunn says that he's pretty much going to spearhead everything with a new Superman movie. Originally going to be titled Superman Legacy. And, you know, at first I was kind of like, okay, well, you know, if it's dead, yeah, they're going to start over with Superman. But it's like, man, I really liked Henry as Superman. Part of me was kind of like, you know, just the delusional, hopeful part of me was like, maybe they'll get Brandon Routh to come back, or Brandon Ruth, however you say his last name, because he and I are also big fans of Superman Returns.
That is correct.
And, you know, unpopular opinion, I found Brandon to be a better Superman than Henry. That is nothing against Henry. I just prefer Brandon. That's just me.
I like them both about. I don't know. Cavill for me edges up just because he had more time.
Yeah.
Um, Sadly, we never got to see what Brandon could do
So
in his prime.
one thing that really aggravated me is after all of this starts happening and they announce that the movie is going to happen and they start releasing like casting and all that kind of stuff and everything is like, here we go. All the Snyder haters that we've had to listen to bellyache and complain since 2013. Now all of a sudden well, we need to give James Gunn a chance. What are you just going to judge it for without actually seeing it? Like, we haven't listened to you people whine and complain since 2013. Like, yeah, I looked right at you. Like, talking to you. But it's just like, it was infuriating. Like, whatever. And then they announced the casting of, what's his name? I can't never remember the guy's name. The new David
Corin Sweat,
yeah.
Something like that.
I know he was in Twisters. Like, because I remember I went to theaters to go see Twisters, and like he's just a very minor character in that. And whenever I would see him, I was kind of like, I think that's the new Superman. Like, okay. Which, as it turns out, I think it was stated that he found out he got the job for Superman while he was filming Twisters. Which Twisters is very mid, by the way. Like, does not hold up to the original at all. But so yeah, and I would like I'm not gonna lie, I'd been a hater. Like, I don't know. I was like, I have no desire. I don't want to watch it. Like, I don't care. I'm not gonna mess with it or anything. Then I started seeing like on set photos and stuff like
stills
that.
And stuff
yeah.
like that.
Saw him in costume. Saw the yellow like symbol, like the S shield on the back of the cape. Not gonna lie, I remember telling you, I was like, it's starting to happen. Like the Superman fan in me is starting to wake up.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like we'll wait, we'll wait for the trailer and everything. And so then the trailer, goes to happen. Like they have a website for the movie. There's a countdown and all that kind of stuff. I'm at work whenever the trailer drops. And so I walked into my office, like got on YouTube right there on the clock. Anybody? Yeah, I did. But and watched the trailer. And I remember at first, I think I told you this on the phone.
Okay.
That whenever, because we knew Crypto was going to be in it. I am a fan of Crypto. I'm not a big fan of the design of Crypto for this movie, but I am a fan of Crypto. And I almost like turned it off just being mad. Whenever it got to the part, whenever this, little like Snoopy's older cousin.
It looks like Benji.
Yeah. Is it Benji?
Yeah. Millennials, Gen Z, Google it.
Benji. Wow. But yeah, no, just he looks like Benji, and I see him, and I'm just like, like I would have preferred like the lab design. Like that's just 9 times out of 10. Whenever I think of Crypto, I think of a white lab.
Yeah,
like that's just what I think of. And the part whenever like he shows up, I did like whenever he whistled and you can like see Crypto like kicking up a storm running towards him. Like, okay, like, but when he tells Crypto to take him home and like hands his cape, and Crypto takes it, like I stopped the trailer and I was just like, this Saturday morning cartoon BS. Like, I mean, I started to get kind of aggravated.
Well, I'm not a Crypto fan. But it's like silly. It's like a Silver Age throwback. I mean, I hope James Gunn has the sense not to show Corin Sweat's Superman like juggling planets and sneezing a galaxy out of place.
That's some Silver Age stuff for a lot of you new readers. But yeah, I'm a fan of Crypto, the character and everything. And honestly, that's what made me kind of reevaluate things, because as I was sitting there kind of thinking, I was like, if I was reading a Superman comic and this happened in a comic, like something happened to Superman, crash lands, he whistles for Crypto, Crypto shows up, hands him the edge of his cape, take me home, and Crypto starts dragging him home, I wouldn't have thought anything of it. I would have been like, that's a very Crypto thing to do.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, okay, okay. Like I kind of caught myself, like I'm being a little bit too much of a hater right now.
Yeah.
Like let's like
put the Snyder fan aside.
That was the moment that I legitimately, I think I told you on the phone, that's the moment where it like really clicked in my head. Like Snyderverse is dead.
Yeah.
It's gone. Like let it go. It's like if I just keep on with this thing of trying to hang on to it, it's not like Warner Brothers is randomly just going to up and decide, oh, we messed up, we were wrong, yeah, we're gonna get rid of James Gunn and all the stuff that he's already working on, and we're gonna continue the Snyderverse. Like that's just not something that's gonna happen. So it's like,
although if you're listening, anyone with a HBO, AT&T, Time Warner, there is a market, I believe, for either comics or novelizations that continue the Snyderverse.
Oh, there absolutely would be. Like that. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But so it's like, yeah, Snyderverse is dead. And whenever I say Snyderverse, I don't want people to think that I was just this unyielding fan for the DCEU as a whole.
Right.
Whenever I talk about the Snyderverse, what I'm really talking about is Man of Steel, Dawn of Justice, Justice League.
Yeah.
Like the Snyder cut of Justice League.
Yeah.
That's the Snyderverse to me. I can care less about anything else.
Agreed, completely.
And I might like a few things here and there, but it's nothing. Just I don't care. And so I was like, okay, like it's dead. Let me start the trailer over. This is the direction we're going in. Let's check it out. So I started it over and watched the whole trailer. After watching it again with like a more open mind, that's whenever I was like, okay. Like, I believe the term I was using was I'm cautiously optimistic.
That was exactly.
Because I said it does have a chance to be corny as hell. And like just looking at what I've seen so far, it has a chance to be very, very corny. And I would like to point out to anybody that might be sitting there like, oh yeah, well, he still sounds like he's just being a hater. Look at the shirt that I'm wearing. Okay, like I spent money, like, and this is not the only James Gunn Superman shirt that I have. Like I have one that's like him flying up, and underneath it says "Take Me Home." Mm-hmm. Like I have like 3 or 4 James Gunn Superman shirts. Like I'm looking forward to the movie. I'm hoping it does well. One of our other mutual friends texted me not long after the trailer had dropped, and he asked like what I thought about it. I had multiple people texting me what'd you think about it and everything, because if y'all haven't figured it out, I'm the resident Superman fan of my of my friend group. So we'll just put him right there. Like,
and also Kal wasn't always your nickname.
No, it wasn't. Like my nickname is Kal. The Kaiju fans will know this because I've explained the story there. My nickname is Kal because I am a Superman fan. Because I was on Facebook, and I believe it was whenever Captain America, the First Avenger, was coming out. And this group that I was a part of, we had all decided we were going to add like our favorite superhero name to our like actual names, like in either do it like as a middle name or a last name, or put it in parentheses, do something.
I remember when we did that.
And so I was just like, should I do like Superman? No, that doesn't sound right. And I would keep like, and then like, what about maybe Kal-El? No, maybe Kal. Kal sounds good. Like it went with like the rest of my name. So I put it in there as my middle name. And we had a mutual friend. I'm not going to get into the details or whatever, but something about my name being Michael was unpleasant. And she was like, anytime she heard someone mentioning my name,
she was triggered.
She was getting triggered. And so at this point, everyone on Facebook called me Kal. So I told her, I said, just call me Kal. I said, everybody on Facebook does. You just call me Kal. It's not a big deal. And so she said, okay. So she started calling me that. Well, then other people would hear her call me that. They would just assume that's my name. His kids
yeah,
found out, like both of his kids are in their 20s. Like, or
yes.
Gracie's about to be.
Yeah.
But, like, his kids just found out. I'll be generous and say only like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That Kal is a nickname.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, that's not his name?
Yeah. My daughters will be 24 and 21 this month.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
This month. Wow. And I have, see, like, I waited long enough to get started because I'm 37 years old. And next month, my daughter will be 1 year.
Yeah.
Already. And it's just like,
and we've been friends for 13 years.
Oh my God. Sorry, old men moments. But I can't even hardly remember what we were talking about. But so everyone was asking like what I was thinking about the trailer. And I remember making a post on Facebook, like, look, I will get to it in a minute. Like, I'm still at work. Like, you know, like, just give me some time here. I need to process everything. And so I had made some kind of big post on Facebook. I can't even remember what it was. But basically saying I'm cautiously optimistic. Looking forward to it. Like, we're gonna see what happens. Because it's like I'm too big of a Superman fan to have just looked the other way.
Right.
I know there's some people out there like the diehard Snyder bros that's like, you know, to Warner Brothers and we're not gonna watch the movie. Yes, you are. You're gonna hate watch it just so you can get on forums and talk about how inferior it is to the Snyder product and whether it's inferior or superior. Like, I'm still gonna watch it and I'll form my own opinion of it. And we had just watched the trailer prior to recording this episode. And, you know, yeah, let's talk about the trailer. And I know we're late to the game. Like, you know, like I wanted to do this like the weekend that the trailer had dropped and everything. But hey, life gets in the way. Like, you had things going on. I had things going on. I think I had gotten sick. My daughter had then gotten sick like the next week or something. And yeah, so
then there was the holidays.
Yeah, and all that junk. So it's like we just didn't really have time. And so yeah, we're late to the game talking about it and everything, but here we are. So let's talk about the trailer. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so first off, I'm not the biggest fan of James Gunn. Yes, I love Marvel. I don't think James Gunn is the savior of the MCU with what he did with Guardians of the Galaxy or anything like that.
Mediocre trilogy at best.
I know the first one did gangbusters. I don't think it holds up to repeated viewings. It's too silly.
The humor got me through it the first time because I think you and me went to see it in theaters, and I walked away positively thinking positively about it, just because I thought it was funny. Like, I remember telling people, they're like, oh, I went and watched Guardians of the Galaxy. And they're like, oh, was it good? I'm like, it was funny.
Right.
And, like, that's all I would tell them. But then, you know, I don't think we have to jump into the whole dance-off nonsense.
But no, okay, so the trailer. He looks good. He looks good in the suit. I told you I'm not a big crypto fan. Mr. Terrific?
Yeah.
Dude, looks like he stepped off the page.
That's about as spot on as you can get it. And I've got a figure of Mr. Terrific somewhere. I don't know where. But it's like, where's it at?
I don't know.
I'm telling y'all, like, I've got it somewhere here. Like,
But yeah,
I don't know where it's at.
but yeah.
This is not my entire collection. Like, there's stuff on that side of the table that y'all can't even see. Like, I've got things boxed up and all that. But yes, I do have a Mr. Terrific figure. And it's like it was one of them deals to where it's like, it's so accurate.
Yeah.
I saw the figure and I was like, they're already releasing figures of the movie? And I'm like, that's just a regular McFarlane's Toys Mr. Terrific. Like, like, holy crap.
No, they could not have done better.
Yeah.
I don't care at all about Guy Gardner. I feel bad for Nathan Fillion having to have that ridiculous haircut. Like, dude, come on.
I think he's wearing a prosthetic nose too. Yeah, just comic wise in general, we are not Guy Gardner fans. Like, it's not one of them deals. Because there's the Snyder haters are they latched hold to something saying like, well, that's just the Snyder bros just nitpicking something apart again. Like, y'all didn't do that since 2013. But no, I just don't like Guy Gardner.
No, me.
I've never liked him.
No, me.
Like, when it comes to Green Lanterns, just Green Lanterns, not all the other cores and all that stuff. Like, I like Hal, I like John, I like Kyle.
Yeah.
Other than that, I really don't. As I view Sinestro as more of a Yellow Lantern anyway. Like, you know what I mean? So, other than that, I don't care.
Well, like, I mean, God, like, there was a period of time in the comics, and he might still. It's been a few years since I've read any Green Lantern. But like, for a while he had like a crew cut.
Yeah.
Like, dude, rock that.
Yeah.
Not
this Dennis the Menace. Like,
he wishes he had Dennis the Menace.
We're talking about the live action Dennis the Menace that he and I are also both very big fans of.
Yes. Yes.
With Christopher Lloyd. But yeah. Continue.
Well, no, I will borrow your phrase of cautiously optimistic. I'm not a huge fan of James Gunn's work. I have seen more of what he's done than just the Guardian stuff. Yeah. I had no desire to see his Suicide Squad. A friend of mine showed me like the opening of Peacemaker. He was like, "Oh, dude," he's like, "Just watch the opening." I'm like,
the opening, like the theme song.
Yeah,
opening
with Cena dancing, and it's all goofy crap. Like, I'm just not a big fan of like silliness with superheroes. I know that may sound odd. Like, I like my guys in spandex to be serious. Like.
Oh, man, how dare somebody try to have fun? Go ahead.
No, I just I don't know. I don't care about crypto / Benji. I don't know. But having said all that, I look forward to seeing the film.
Yeah. Look, we had talked about whenever we, like, you made the comment whenever we watched it, whenever we see,
Luthor Corp?
It says Luthor Corp.
Yeah.
And I shared a theory that I saw on Reddit that, it's pretty well established that this is not a Superman origin movie.
Yeah.
Like, James Gunn.
Thank God.
I will say that James Gunn, I 100% agree with him on this. He said he's not touching the origin stuff. He's not showing Superman's origin. He's not going to show Batman's origin. He's like, everybody knows.
Yeah.
It's been done to death.
Space Moses.
Point. Yeah. And so, but so what was I saying? You throw me off with the Space Moses.
It's not an origin story.
It's not origin or anything, but they said just because it's not an origin story for Superman doesn't mean it's not per se an origin story for Lex.
Right.
And that's why it still says Luthor Corps, because you never know, his father might still be alive. Mm-hmm. He might still be his father might still have like a controlling share of the company, whereas Lex is just merely the CEO at this point in time or something, or even just the president of it or whatever. And something could happen to his father, and Lex is going to be like, this is no longer my father's company, this is my company. Like, I'm moving away from the family company.
I mean,
this is going to be me. So it's not Luthor Corps, it's Lex Corps.
Yeah. He's a megalomaniac. That's what he does.
Yeah, one of my all-time favorite villains.
Oh, he's fantastic.
I love. And okay, so we're gonna talk more in detail about something else at a later episode. But I will say, you and I both are of the same opinion that whenever Nicholas Hoult was cast as Luthor, we were both very.
I don't hate him. He's just never really done it for me.
Yeah, but then we both had a change of opinion.
Yes, we did.
Whenever we went and saw Nosferatu.
Amazing.
Yeah, 8 out of 10 as far as I'm concerned. And he's one of the highlights of the film.
Yeah.
And it was one of them deals that after I walked out, I was kind of like, okay.
Got a new level of appreciation.
Yeah, I mean, before then we saw him as Beast, and I was like, and then
crazy
yeah,
guy from Fury Road, you know.
Witness me. And yeah, like, so it was just like this guy. He was in Renfield, which zero desire to watch that film. I like Nicolas Cage. I had no desire to see that at the time. I might go watch it now just because, like, okay, I like both people that's in this movie now instead of just one. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
And one thing that me and him talked about is that, again, we had watched the trailer just before coming to record all of this. And whenever we get to the part, you know, like whenever we see Luthor walk to the window, Superman flies by, and he turns around looking very Luthor-ish. And there's another part, like we see him with like a revolver, which I assume he's probably going to have like some kryptonite bullets in or something like that. I told him the difference is that after seeing Nosferatu and actually seeing more of his acting chops, instead of like whenever I see him in the trailer, instead of going, instead I was like,
yeah,
or it's like, okay. So I'm not quite as upset about that casting anymore. I know nothing about the actress playing Lois.
Yeah, me either.
Like, absolutely nothing. But I will say, I don't know, appearance-wise, just whenever I see her, the first time we see her and they're, like, in the Daily Planet, she's wearing, like, the vest and everything like that. I'm like...
Some Margot Kidder vibes. Yeah.
I'm like, I can see it.
That's the woman who played Lois Lane in the beginning with the 1978 Superman, the movie with Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve. I've got some collectible figures right there. But yeah, Clark's haircut. What in the world?
I don't know.
Like, that's such a doofy, and I know, like, the defending argument would be like, well, you know...
Reminds me of Screech.
Well,
Saved by
well, you know, it's like, I know one defending thing that a lot of people say is, like, let's be honest here, you know, it's like, it's 2025 now. Like, you know, the argument has been, like, Clark Kent needs more than just glasses to be in disguise, right. You know what I mean? Which long-time comic book readers like us know it's more than just him wearing glasses.
Yeah, it's his
like, it was
body language.
It's the way he did his posture and everything. And then, like, even so much so, I believe in the New 52, they went even further and stated that the glasses he wears is, like, Krypton technology that, like, people that's like looking at the glasses, like it causes them to perceive him differently.
Right.
Like it's more than just him, you know, wearing glasses.
Yeah. It's not like he swung by Eye Masters in Smallville on the way to Metropolis and like, oh, let me do something.
Yeah. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still kind of ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I would like to think that maybe I like the idea of the glasses technology.
Yeah.
making them perceive them differently, because it's like, people like Jimmy or people like Lois or his boss or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I don't have my sunglasses on. I was gonna put them on. Yeah, yeah. Here we go. Like, oh, who am I? Yeah, what now? You'll never pick me out. He's pretty nice.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like, I don't know. I feel like we need more than just like the glasses, but whatever. So that's an argument for the doofy haircut and everything. Which, I don't know. Like, I texted one of my friends. I was like, the haircut look. I'm not trying to start any generation crap or anything, but it's like it looks a little too Gen Z to me. Where it's like the dude's our age. Like, like I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't like the haircut. Like, I know that's me being nitpicky, but that's just me.
Do we know who's playing Perry?
I honestly don't know if we do or not. Gonna be lots of Hawk Girl is in there. She,
that was really cool to see.
She looks good. More ways than one. Um, we're gonna see Superman fight a kaiju apparently, so that's pretty cool. Max Fleischer fans will already know he has fought kaiju in the past, so maybe this is a nod to that. Perhaps it's an Arctic giant, if you will. Which by the way, my daughter, she's soon to be 11 months old. She loves the Max Fleischer Superman shorts. That's which awesome. Gotta go ahead and throw out there. There are certain things that I can remember, like the starting point for a fandom for me. That, like, I remember whenever I became a fan of Godzilla. I remember when I became a fan of King Kong. Like, I just remember seeing things for the first time and just like, this is amazing. Like, yeah. I don't remember the starting point for Superman. Superman is one of those characters that is just like, I've always liked him, And if I had to pick, I want to say the Max Fleischer Superman shorts was my introduction to Superman.
I mean, I still love them. We were talking about them the other day, and I was even like looking on eBay, being like, do they still have, like, trying to find the VHS that I had as a kid,
Yeah. So, yeah. One scene that I really like. Well, two things about the trailer that I really liked. I like whenever we see him like in very much like slow motion, like saving the little girl from the explosion. Like that's a very Superman scene.
Yeah.
The other thing that I like is that, and this was touched upon in Dawn of Justice, of Superman very much being viewed as like a messiah type character.
Yeah.
Like we saw that in Dawn of Justice, like with the people, on top of their roofs, like put the S shield like on their roof.
Yeah. Save us, Superman.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And like whenever he's off in like in other countries, and everybody is like reaching out to him and all of that kind of stuff. Like we saw that with Snyder's take. And we do see that kind of in Gunn's take. Whatever, I'm assuming it's some kind of like civil war that's happening.
And some sort of like overseas skirmish is kind of,
and the kid like raises the flag and like he's just holding on to it and just saying Superman over and over again. Like essentially he's praying.
Yeah, that's
like,
exactly what.
Like, and he's trying to get Superman's attention, and I think it's
Now I'm glad you brought up the Messiah angle, because that was touched on before the Snyder film with Superman Returns.
Are you talking about whenever he's flying above? He's listening to everything. Yeah, that's a really cool scene. Like he hears the alarm. Just, but yeah.
But no, I'm I'm very much looking forward to it. Also, we might as well say it was recently announced Jason Momoa will be playing Lobo in an upcoming Supergirl film. Um, Not sure how I feel about Lobo debuting in a Supergirl film. I can't remember them ever,
They
coming to
they they've
blows.
had run-ins like in the comics a few times, like probably pretty prominently in the New 52
Okay.
whenever they did the whole Twilight Lobo.
I was just about
Like
to say that.
like big Lobo fans,
Yeah.
us, like the main man. So
Although I'm more familiar with like his solo stuff.
yeah,
The various minis and his solo series from the 90s.
yeah, like the cover of him in the electric chair is one of
Yeah.
my favorite one of my favorite comic covers of all time. But yeah, Jason Momoa correctly cast as
Yeah. Like,
which, like, see, again, this is something that, like, when like talking about Snyder, to where it's like I liked Snyder's take and things that he did, but there was just certain things that I was just like, and one of the things is Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Like, I get it, with like the Islander heritage and all that kind of
mhm.
stuff. Like, I get it. I get what you was going for. Completely understand it. It's just like I still don't. I thought he was going to be good for Lobo back then.
Right?
Like, like he thought he was going to be good for Lobo back then. There's an interview where he talked like he went in to cast or whatever, and he thought like there were various characters being thrown around and everything, and he was going for Lobo. He wanted Lobo. And then whenever he got the phone call to like come back in or whatever like that, and they're like, Aquaman. And he was just like, what? And he looks at Patrick Wilson, who played Orm perfectly.
Yes.
Like, he looks at Patrick Wilson and he's like, I figured you would have been Aquaman.
He looks more like Aquaman from the comic.
Like, I mean, I remember whenever Jason Momoa was cast as Aquaman, and I was just like, like, I don't know about that. But then it's like they turned around and it's like, oh, but Patrick Wilson's going to be Orm. And I'm like, okay, all right, you swung around, you got it. Like, I'm okay with that. I'd be good with Alexander Skarsgård playing Aquaman in the new DCU, as it has been renamed, the DC Comics universe.
I completely agree.
If he's open to doing such a thing. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, we're going to see where it goes. We're going to see how things play out.
Also, the music. The music was amazing in the trailer.
Yeah, like I told you just before we started recording, it's just like, you hear the classic, like, Christopher Reeve Superman theme.
Yeah, the John Williams theme.
Which is just like...
It's epic.
It's epic. It really is. And you hear that and you're like, yeah. And then it's like, okay, do you want to hear a guitar solo version of it? Like, yes, I do. And so, yeah, we got that. And it was like, yeah, it's freaking awesome. Yeah, looking forward to the movie. Rest in peace to the Snyderverse and everything, and to Henry Cavill as Superman. I saw something on Facebook the other day. It said that if they ever decide to really do like multiversal type stuff and everything, they should get all of the Snyder guys to come back and be Earth 3, the crime syndicate.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, dude, seeing Affleck as Owlman?
What? Yeah.
That would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're going to talk more about like Affleck and Batman and everything in a future episode, because just like this episode was very much geared towards like Superman and stuff, like with Superman movies and all of that kind of mess. Like, I want to do one for Batman.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about Batman stuff. Because believe me, I've got like plenty of Batman stuff. The background is going to be ever changing, like, for pretty much each episode that we're doing. Obviously, I have a lot of Superman stuff, but yeah, I have a lot of collectibles. A lot of collectibles. You can't really see it because, like, I'm just gonna go ahead and show this off.
Yeah.
My Captain Carrot. because I love Captain Carrot. Yeah, buddy. So yeah, just wanted to show that off. But yeah, we're gonna see.
Now,
We'll see how it goes.
if there is any silver lining to Cavill being released from the Superman role, hopefully,
I think I know where you're going with this.
I would love to see Cavill as not Wolverine.
No, I know.
Captain Britain.
Yep, I knew it. I knew it.
I have the unfortunate fate of being a huge Captain Britain fan. All three of us in the world. You know.
Wow. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Do you think we'll ever see Batfleck or Ben Affleck jump back into the superhero genre?
I hope one day he gets some redemption. I very much wish that for him.
I think there's a lot of people that did not like his take on Batman, but I think they're in the minority. Like, most of what I hear about Ben Affleck as Batman, specifically in Dawn of Justice, has been pretty well received.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're gonna have your haters. Like, you just are. Like, not everybody is gonna love everything.
Well,
I mean, not everybody loved Jesus. Well, like so.
And I mean, Affleck has kind of been a divisive figure in just as an actor.
Yeah.
He's one of those. I think he is one of those kind of you either love him or hate him kind of actors.
Love him.
Same. The Accountant 2 and 3. 2 is in production. Should be coming out this year.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
But no, I very much hope that he gets some redemption, because I mean, I think he did absolutely everything he could to bring everything he could to that role.
I think he nailed it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, he nailed it. I don't care what anybody says. He stepped off of the comic book page,
especially from the Grant Morrison run.
Yeah, and anybody that wants to sit there, I'm about to go there. Anybody, and then we're going to talk more about this in the Batman episode. But anybody that wants to sit there and be like, "Oh, Batman doesn't kill," and Ben Affleck, like, dude, whatever. Don't come at me with that nonsense, because Michael Keaton's Batman
killed left and right.
He has a super high body count under him. I mean, like, you and me talked about, like, whenever he drives the Batmobile into a factory for the sole purpose of blowing it up, and then just
there's guys all around the Batmobile,
and then like it just comes back. You're gonna tell me that he was just like, "Oh, I didn't know there was anybody in there." Like, come on, like, no, don't. Tried to shoot the Joker whenever he was in the Bat plane. And then Joker yanks out the world's longest pistol.
Hold on. So
we are massive fans of the '89 Batman movie. All right, so
yeah. So okay. Batman doesn't use guns. Batman doesn't kill. Dude was shooting at the Joker with like 50 cals on the Batwing.
And in the original comics, he did carry a gun. So yeah,
briefly.
Don't want to hear it. Just no, don't want to hear it. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm hopeful for this new universe. Like, I hope to God that we'll actually eventually get a good take on Doomsday, because Doomsday just hasn't been done right yet, in my opinion. He just hasn't.
No, I completely agree. I don't want any sort of rush towards the death of Superman. Like, let it build, let it breathe. Yeah. Like, let us see him in his glory.
Well, let us get attached to him. Like, part of the reason why it didn't hardly faze me at all whenever I was watching Dawn of Justice is like, oh, Superman died. And I'm like, oh, in his second appearance?
Right.
I don't care.
And the thing is, it wasn't even his movie. It was a shared movie.
Yeah. Which we didn't even talk about Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, which I have opinions. depending on which movie we're talking about. Like, 'cause there's some movies where I think she was good as Wonder Woman, and then there are other ones where I'm like, no.
I loved her in BVS. I liked her in Justice League. I thought that the first Wonder Woman solo film was completely unnecessary. Because, okay, first of all, her first solo outing, cinematically, ever. And you're going to tell a flashback story?
Yeah.
So that completely takes the character out of any danger past the once the flashback begins.
Yeah, because it's like we already know this is gonna play out. We've already seen Dawn of Justice.
Ooh, what a nail biter!
Yeah.
You know,
like is she gonna die? Oh wait,
yeah.
But you want to talk about an unnecessary movie, and that was 1984. Have you seen? Don't please.
I have no desire.
Please don't.
I mean, Kristen Wiig, come on.
She did better than I expected her to do, but believe me, like, she is one of the lesser problems of that movie. Like, she just is. Like, but yeah, so, we're gonna, the next episode we'll talk about Batman. We'll talk about the 1989 Batman. We'll talk about Ian's favorite Batman movie, Batman and Robin. And
no, that is a dirty, dirty lie. Oh God. Okay. Real quick. I'm in my early 40s. I just watched Batman and Robin for the first time last year.
And I wish I could have been present for it, but I wasn't.
I didn't love it by any means, but I liked it better than Batman Forever.
Batman Forever is trash.
Yeah. Well, the safe swings back perfectly.
Spoiling acid. Terrible movie.
Yeah.
With the Jokerized version of Two-Face and the Riddler. Because that's all they were playing was...
Yeah.
They were playing the Joker in different costumes.
Yeah.
But, Okay. Well, no. That's all going to be for the Batman episode. We're going to talk about those movies and everything. We might touch upon, like, the Dark Knight Returns and all that, especially when we jump into, like, Batfleck and all of that kind of stuff. Which, speaking of the Dark Knight Returns, all I'm going to say, like, further before we get to, like, wrap up and all that kind of stuff, is that in a recent interview, from what I've heard, Snyder was just straight up asked,
oh yeah,
would he come back to do any other, like, DC project or anything under James Gunn? Like, would he return? And he basically just said he has no interest in coming back, and the only thing he would come back for is if he would be able to make a live action Dark Knight Returns, which I'm
maybe that could be Batfleck's redemption there.
Let that be his redemption. Let that be his way out and all that. Just end it at Returns. We don't need Strikes Back. We don't need Master Race and all of that kind of stuff.
Not that there's... I don't hate those by any means.
I hate one of them. But like, I love the Master Race. Like, so you put 2 and 2 together, which one that I hate? But
and he means Dark Knight 3, the Master Race, not like...
No. Not that kind of Master Race. Oh my God. Okay. So, yeah. Batman episode's going to be next. We're going to talk about, the live action movies that's been done so far. Maybe even like the serials, like the black and white serials that they did for Batman and all of that kind of stuff. We'll jump more into, like, with Batfleck and all that. Talk about the mediocre Pattinson film and all that.
I don't hate Pattinson as an actor. I just don't like him for Batman.
No, me neither. And so I think that pretty much does it for the inaugural episode of Those Podcast Guys. So if you managed to stick around to the end, thanks. We appreciate it. And I suppose, we will. This was us talking about Superman. So thanks for joining us and listening to two comic guys just rant and ramble about something that they've been fans of ever since we were little kids and all of that. And I don't have a posting schedule or anything like that. I don't know if like, oh yeah, tune in next week. Like, you know what I mean? Like same bat time, same bat channel. Like I don't, same channel. But probably not the same time.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna try to do it like once a week, every other week at the absolute latest. We'll try to get together and talk about something or whatever. And not we're gonna cover a wide variety of stuff. We're not just gonna talk about like Superman or whatever. I mean, because we're also wanting to talk about the new Nosferatu film.
Yeah.
But we also I have yet to. I've seen The Northman. Went to theaters to see The Northman. I've seen The Witch. I have not yet seen The Lighthouse, but I do have it on my Vudu, and I will watch it eventually. You've only seen Nosferatu, yeah. Which also I have the '70s Nosferatu on Blu-ray now.
So, that Werner Herzog.
Yes,
yeah.
So whenever you want to jump into that, we certainly can. So. Yeah, all right, guys. That pretty much does it. So I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah, I mean, we can sign off. So.
All right. So if we're signing off, we'll catch y'all next time.
Yeah. Make mine Marvel.